Hi guys, welcome back to FOOTY with Polly. Today will be my Premier League prediction, so let's go with the video. So the tiers will be title race, clubs that I actually think, like in the last 3, 4, 5 game weeks, they will be still in the title race. 5 for UEFA Champions League. I'm considering clubs that will fight within like 6th, 5th, 4th, and the other ones are obvious. So let's start. If I'm looking right there, not at the camera, it's because I'm looking at the clubs. So Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal will be in the title race, and that I think we're just starting with the biggest hot take in this video, which is me not believing that Arsenal will fight for the title. I don't think they will be in the title race. However, Arsenal is the only one in the fight for UCL that could be fighting for the title, in my opinion. Because like, if you think about it, City just had an atrocious season, horrible season last season. However, they ended the season with, like in the Premier League, with 71 points. And Arsenal, like with a good season, I mean, I don't know why I did it, because it was a good season overall, ended the Premier League with 74. Of course, Arsenal improved the squad. Now they signed Gyökeres, who is a very good scorer. They signed Thubimendi, who is like one of the best DMs in the world, can also play as a CM. However, I don't believe in Arteta anymore. After last season, not even competing with Liverpool for the title, I don't believe in Arteta anymore. At least not in this format. Maybe in the Champions League, but like in the Premier League, I don't think Arsenal will compete with Liverpool. Like the difference between Liverpool and the other ones was very big last season, and they even signed more players, like signed Wirtz. Actually, let's just put, I'm gonna be really honest guys, let's just put Liverpool here. Just to finish my thoughts about Arsenal, I can't see Arsenal competing with Liverpool, because Arsenal improved, but Liverpool improved even more, and they were already a better team. But I think Arsenal will get an easy third in the Premier League, maybe second. Next one, Villa. I think I see Villa in like the 8th place. They are good, but it's just Premier League, like, because the league is just too difficult. An advantage for Villa is that different from Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, they're not in the Champions League, so they can focus on the Premier League. But I feel that they will give a lot of importance to the Europa League, because let's be honest, in the Premier League, it is very difficult to get, like, to qualify for the Champions League. So I think a lot of clubs in the Europa League, a lot of English clubs, will start to give even more importance to the Europa League, as United and Tottenham did last season. So I think Villa will do this season. So next one, Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth will be in the 9th, 10th position. I'm gonna say 9th because I like Bournemouth, but they lost Kerkez, I don't know how to say his name, but they kept El Matador de Gigantes, which is I always forget his name, his actual name, the manager, Iraola. They kept Iraola, but I think they need to sign. They need signings. They need to sign some defenders, because I've seen the squad and it's not looking good for the Premier League. And they also kept Semenyo, renew his contract, which was very important for them. But overall, I'm going to say 9th position. So next one, Brentford. I think Brentford is in danger this season, because I don't think they will keep overachieving as they were doing with Thomas Frank, because Thomas Frank is a very good manager, and they lost him. And they lost him Buimo. They also lost Norgard. Maybe they will lose Wissa. Basically, it's not looking good for Brentford. So I would say, if I had to say a position, I would say 16th. Actually, after I finish all this, after I put all the teams for the clubs in a tier, I will order by position. So Brighton, like I think losing João Pedro was huge for them, because he is very good, even though you could argue that he had injury problems, so he was not playing in a lot of games and they still kept putting in good performances. However, like, I think in the Premier League, if you don't improve regarding what you did last season, like, you sort of decreased in quality, because everyone is just improving and signing, and like they lost their best player quality wise for Chelsea, as normally happens. The next one, Burnley. Unfortunately, and I have no pleasure in saying this, but we've been seeing this in the last 2 seasons. Every team that got promoted in the championship to the Premier League got relegated after. So unfortunately, like Burnley, like the gap between the Premier League and the lower leagues are higher and higher every season. I don't know how they will fix it. I don't know if the Premier League actually cares about this, but that's it. So actually, to save us time, I'm gonna put them here. It is what it is. So Chelsea fight for Champions League. I don't put Chelsea in the title race yet. Like, this Chelsea squad not playing the Champions League, I might put them in the title race. However, I think they will give a lot of importance to the Champions League, which is obviously the most important competition in the world. By the way, I'm Brazilian and I've seen Steven play, and this guy is like, is such a talent. Like when I see Chelsea with Farmer, Estevão, João Pedro, Pedro Neto, they just have a lot of, like Enzo, Caicedo, like they just have too many good players. However, I still have my doubts regarding Maresca. I don't think he showed enough consistency in the Premier League. Like last season, sometimes Chelsea was playing very good or very well, then they would fall off and they would like win because of some individuality, because as I'm saying, they have a lot of good players, but the lack of consistency. For example, regarding squad, I see Chelsea stronger than Arsenal, but I see some consistency in Arsenal that I don't see in Chelsea, if that makes sense. Palace is a team that I like watching, to be honest. I think they play very well. They are very adaptable the way they play. And like regarding squad, I think they need signings, at least a centre back, especially if they lose Gehi. Another team, it's just another club in the limbo between not being so good to fight for the Champions League, but at the same time being good enough to be like around 9th, 10th. Oh, and actually, I need to say that by the time of recording, Eze is still a Palace player, and I'm considering that they will keep him, because if they sell him, then they would probably drop 2-3 positions on my tier list. So next one, Everton. I'm gonna say here, yes, with Brentford, even though they signed Jack Grealish, I don't like saying a player is finished, but I'm almost saying. So Fulham, same level, like next to Everton. Good squad, some good players here and there. Like I really like the striker Rodrigo Muniz. I really like him, the striker. I also really like Andres Pereira. I also really like William. Like for example, if Crystal Palace lose Eze, I would probably change them, but Fulham here and maybe put Crystal Palace down here. So let's go to the next one, Manchester City. That might sound like a hot take, but I think City is the only team that I see challenging for the title, like being the title race against Liverpool, because Liverpool is way above the other ones. However, if City start playing like they have Haaland, Foden, now Cherki, Mamouche, like Rodri, Vardiol, like they have a lot of good players. Like they have basically a very good squad, as good as Liverpool's, I would say, the squad. However, the problem is the consistency. Like we have been seeing Manchester City being beaten by the same strategy, like counter-attacks, like very fast transitions, long balls. Manchester City is struggling to keep the ball, which is weird. They're struggling to run backwards, and that in the Premier League, a very high intensity league, is a problem. However, if Guardiola solves the problem, like the defensive problems, the defensive issues, the team can compete for the title. Because even last season when they were playing horribly, they still got 71 points in the Premier League, which is bizarre. Like best case scenario for City, Chelsea, Arsenal. I think Arsenal playing their best, they will still be behind Liverpool. Chelsea playing their best, they will still be behind Liverpool. City playing their best, they can compete with Liverpool. That's my rationale, that's my logic here. If I only think about last season, then I would say that Manchester City is not in the title race. I would do this if I were not projecting what I think that could happen. However, based on what I explained, City has a chance. The other ones don't. United. I see United. That might be a hot take, and I feel I've said this 3-4 times in this video, but people are not considering, like I've seen people saying United will finish the season mid-table, and I do not agree with this. Obviously, I respect every analysis, but people are not considering that United is the only club in the Big Six, and even in the Big Eight, that if we consider Newcastle and Villa not playing in Europe, they are only focused on the Premier League. United signed Chesco, who is a very good striker, Matheus Cunha, who is a very good number 10/false 9, and also in Mbeumo, who is a very good. We saw what he did for Brentford, which is not so strong, and now we see him at United. And I'm saying this as a non-United supporter. I really believe United will be in the 5th position, because I'll put United 5th, okay? Considering that I believe that Ruben Amorim is a good manager after one season to, let's say, or half of a season to adapt. This season will be his season. So 5th for United. I see Newcastle close to United. Like I see them very equal this season. However, again, Newcastle will have to divide attentions. I don't know if you say divide attention in English. Anyway, Newcastle will have to focus some energy in the Champions League, whereas United will be all focused on the Premier League. So in my opinion, that will be the difference between the 5th and the 6th place. So Forest disappointed me last season, because I believed they would qualify for the Champions League, but they didn't. They ended up bottling it. So I'm gonna go 10th. Last season, everything went well for Forest, apart from the very end of the season where they just started losing a lot of games. But in general, like Chris Wood was scoring 1 billion goals, which is not normal for Chris Wood. And that's just an example. I think everything worked well, and Forest played a very defensive game, and maybe the teams were not prepared for this. But at the same time, now they will be prepared to compete against Forest better than they were last season. So West Ham were already not a good team last season, and they also lost their best player, or one of the best players, which is Kudus. So I'm gonna go 7th. I think the only thing keeping West Ham United from actually being the relegation battle is the actual gap between the Premier League and the Championship is just huge. So West Ham will not be concerned on being relegated, but they will be there, like just first position after the relegated. Wolverhampton is a hard one because they lost Matheus Cunha, who was, in my opinion, their best player. So Wolves cannot be higher than Fulham, cannot be higher than Everton. I don't think so, but higher than Brentford. Because Brentford not only lost their best player, but they also lost their manager, and Wolves kept their manager. So last but not least, Tottenham. By the way, ignore the fact that there are 2 badges there because one didn't work, so you need to upload another one. Anyway, Tottenham will fight for the Champions League. I really believe in Thomas Frank. I really think he is a very good manager. He is well proven. He proved that he can overachieve, which is very hard to do in modern football because money is just so important. Like, the only concern that I have is how will be the pressure with the fans. Let's say after losing 2-3 games, we'll start booing him. We'll start like being toxic. I don't know. I really don't know if the fans and the club needs to give him at least one more signing because Kudus is good. Palhinha is insanely good. Like, in my players linked to Tottenham tier list, I put Palhinha like in the top tier to be signed by Tottenham. So the squad is stronger than it was last season. But at the same time, we need to consider the time for adaptation that Thomas Frank will need. But in general, this video is dead long. So to summarize, in my opinion, Tottenham will be in the 6th position, maybe 5th. And before finishing the video, I want to give a bonus to people who got this far in the video. I'm going to say who will score more goals and who will give more assists. I will say Haaland will be the top scorer, and assists I'm gonna go with Wirtz from Liverpool. And I think that was it. I talked a lot. I will try to edit this to be under 15 minutes, so wish me luck, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends in case I have said anything useful. I'll see you in the next time. Bye.